Good afternoon, brothers and the occasional sister. Welcome to the Bro Check Club channel. And we're nearly at 1,000 subscribers, which is good because it means we can control the advertising. Because right now, YouTube can smash ads on whatever they like and they get all the revenue. I don't like ads in the middle of stuff. I find it's a pain in the ass. I lose track of what I'm concentrating on. It's a disruption to the flow. But I am guilty of running ads in the middle of my videos, and I still do have some places, but I'm yet to go back over those videos and take it out. I aren't very good at running that side of things, but I'm getting better at it. So generally you won't see ads in the middle of stuff with me. Right, what am I doing? Well, I went out fishing last night. Took two young fellas out fishing, young Brody and young Lucas. Hey guys, I know you follow the channel, and we had a lot of fun. Brody hooked into sharks twice. We're chasing rig or lemon fish or gummy shark, what do you want to call them? Delicious eating fish. And he too fast. Winching them in too quick and pulled it out of their mouth. And not that they're a soft mouth, because generally they swallow the bait. We're using crab, and generally you get them hooked pretty good, but he was just a wee bit premature on his excitement, and I'm guilty of doing that too. They left at 10:30. I phoned their mum to pick them up, and straight away after they left, his rod had a nice shark on it, which I'm sorry, but I would have liked him to catch that, not me. But that's what happens sometimes. See how this is going. So yeah, I'm just doing the tip of my filleting knife again on the rotational flip knife sharpener. These, to my thinking, are the best system around. There's different ones like it. You can get cheap Chinese ones. I actually do sell them on my other channel's website. This is not a push for that or anything. It's just letting you know if you want to get one. The reason I sell these ones is because they're diamond stone. These are like $50 each, so you get there's 5 in a pack. And that's what I bought these off a guy and liked them so much that I'll put them in my little shop. We don't sell much, and I don't push it because I don't particularly enjoy going down the shop and posting shit, particularly with COVID. Everything's difficult now, especially overseas. But I will send these to people inside New Zealand. Don't really want to start getting to posting this stuff overseas. It's just a pain in the ass. You can buy them cheap Chinese version for about $60-70 with the ceramic stones. All these ones here are 300. Right. That sounded like an ad. It wasn't meant to be an ad. I just actually want to talk about our story, our life story. Each of us have a life story, and one of the things that really interests me when I meet people is I'll say, what's your story, and what were the obstacles you came across, and how did you get over the obstacles? How did you win the battle? And everybody's got something that they've had to endure, something they've had to go through. It wasn't right. Now it's better. It's better. I'm interested to know because it's a way of solving a problem, and life is full of problems and they need to be solved, and it's always good to learn from somebody else, whatever it is. And that doesn't just mean mental health. It could be something to do with physical health. It could be to do with how you manage your allergies or how you manage your idiosyncrasies. What's an idiosyncrasy? I know there's a few young guys watching the channel now. Idiosyncrasies are funny little things about you. We've all got our own little idiosyncrasies, things that we do which may be habitual. One is mine is I always scratch my nose. I don't know if it's actually itching or not, or if it's something I do, but I try not to do that too much when I'm on the channel. It's an idiosyncrasy, I guess. Maybe it comes from a habit. Don't know. We have different ways of coping and different mechanisms for coping. And some of my previous life mechanisms for coping haven't been healthy at all. I've been very excessive with things. I've always had a slightly low self-esteem with certain things about myself, which I've learned to cope and overcome. And this is one of the reasons I think when people send me stuff, I struggle to open it, because I think, oh, I don't really deserve this, and that's just a low self-esteem. And it doesn't matter how many subscribers follow you, or how much music you sell, or how big you ever are. If you've got something that's an insecurity like that, it's very hard to overcome it. I think I probably got a low self-esteem because I grew up not being able to read and write properly in school, and I guess it started there maybe. Oh, he's an idiot, he doesn't do that, and used to get called a retard and stuff like that, which of course, when you're very young, it stays with you. And going through my adult life, I've kind of had to do things my own way. I haven't followed the norm, and I've had to think outside of the square. So I've coped by creating different things, solutions to those problems myself. I've made my own. And one of the things I did was I always decided that I was going to do what it was that I loved first and foremost, even if it pissed people off, even if it got or came up against resistance. So going to Germany was the thing which my boss certainly didn't want me to do when I was working here in New Zealand. I said, I'm going to go to Germany and play music. And it was such an unheard of thing to do, particularly for someone like me who wasn't that bright and not that clever. And I went over there and kept on following the dream, and it came true. So we do have to sometimes go outside of what society tells us to do and follow our own path. And that may cause resistance. It may cause people in your family to go, hey, you can't do that. You've just got to go, listen, I got this. And try to ignore the haters, try to ignore the negative stuff. Some people have got this thing where if someone says, you can't do this, they will do it. I've got a mate, I won't say his name, I don't think he watches this channel anyway, he's a hunting mate, and I said to him, look, if you really want to do the keto diet, good luck, mate, because only about 4 to 5% of men actually stick with it. You'll probably find you fall off after 3 months, you can't do it anymore. And he was like, you fucking watch me. I wasn't using it as a psychology to get him on the diet because I knew he'd benefit from it. And today he's on it still, and he's lost a lot of weight, and he's stronger, fitter, healthier, and looking better for it, like a lot of men are. Whatever it is that you use to cope, there's always going to be a negative and a positive from that. So if you're using cannabis to cope with being socially uncomfortable people, or feeling uncomfortable in yourself, or using alcohol, there's going to be a huge negative effects. If you're using gambling or womanizing, as I know in my past history, detrimental to so many things. The best thing you can do is find something that physically won't damage you. So that means keeping away from drugs and keeping away from excessive behaviour. A lot of my excessive behaviour when I gave up doing sex, drugs and rock and roll was hunting and fishing. And that's not such a bad thing as far as your health goes, so long as you don't get too excessive and so long as you get sleep, but you also maintain the relationships with the people that are important in your life. And probably the most important thing we can all do is look after our relationships with the people that we love and maintain those in a way that's healthy. And sometimes when you're doing excessive stuff, those relationships suffer, and I'm guilty of that. Today, when I tell my children this, I regret the amount of excessive work I put into my YouTube channel, my other one, the Clay Tall Stories one, the amount of work I put into it to make it work, because I missed out on time with them. Now, I'm not naturally a good YouTuber, I'm not naturally a good editor, I'm shocking at filming, and I'm not particularly a great speaker compared to some people. I'm certainly not very nice and pretty to look at. So what have I got going for me? Well, all I really had was to work really hard. And if you've made a YouTube channel, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I regret that I put so much work into that channel, and I wished I'd put more time into my kids. I put time into them, but it could have been better. And I tell them this today. So there's always a spin-off to what you put in, what you get out, and what you sacrifice. And I do wish I could have those days back with my kids while I was busy sitting at the computer or out in the bush filming a hunt. Yeah, I got lots of subscribers, but I would rather have lots of good memories with my children, to be honest. So that was the price I paid. And it's a hard balancing act. It really is a hard balancing act. How's this sharpening go? This is bloody very fine angle here. I hope I've got it right. We'll find out when we start filling that fish. So we have things we do to cope, and some of those things are healthy, some of those things are unhealthy. And what we've got to do as men is we've got to decide in ourselves what's going to be healthy for the people I love around me and myself to get through this idiosyncrasy I've got, this neurosis or this thing that's not quite right, whether it's something that happened as a child or whether you suffered some form of abuse. What are the things that I'm doing all the time to avoid feeling pain, to avoid feeling uncomfortable? How could I get to the quickest way of solving that problem? And one of the things I would say is talk to someone about the root of the problem, particularly if it's, say, a relationship with your father or your mother or somebody that's in the past that you feel has been cruel to you or negative or destructive or downright sadistic, because these things happen in life. And don't necessarily expect that person It's going to say, hey mate, I'm really sorry I was a shit father, or hey, I'm really sorry I was a shit mother, or hey, I'm really sorry I was a brother that was twisted and demented and should never have smacked you on the head with a hammer when you were 3 years old. Don't expect that. Just say it without expectation, so it can then leave your body, put the ball in their court. One of the biggest things I have learned about people that I've met that suffer from, whether it's bipolar disorder or depression or anything, is they carry things inside themselves that were damaging, that have never been validated by the person that inflicted it upon them. And one of the reasons that parents particularly don't want to validate with their children the things they've done wrong is then they've got to look at themselves. They've got to look at their own shit, and that's painful. That's hard. So if you're a parent, take it from me. I know I've done things wrong with my kids, and I have been so transparent with everything. And it's horrible because I've got to admit, I let you down, son, I'm sorry. Or I failed here, or I should never have done that, or that was bad behaviour. And I've got to now look at myself and the shitty things about myself. That is something that every parent needs to learn to do. Don't expect that your own parents will necessarily do it, but at least talking to them opens it up and gives you a feeling of putting it out there. And you may get closure, you may not, but it's important to address it if you're feeling there's something that's holding you back. A lot of people don't even want to talk about this because it means they've got to look at it again and they're trying to bury it. Hey, and there's nothing wrong with denial. Denial works fine to a point, so long as you're not trying to cover something up with something excessive. So as I've gone through my own life, and I think I've had a pretty colourful life, and I've done a lot of things to try to cover up and try to get through. And I don't regret that so much as I might sound like I do, because it's also led me to where I am today. I'm actually content where I am and happy where I am, and I enjoy the journey. And I'm very resigned to the fact that I'm probably a little bit, what's the word I try to find without putting myself down, a little bit unintelligent at times, a little bit dumb, a little bit retarded, which we're not allowed to use that word, but that's what I got called as a kid, so it's still fixed in my head. I'm a little bit all those things, but I'm at peace with that, because I also, as much as I know about the shitty side of myself, I know about the good side. And my good side is that I care about people, and that I give up my time to help people have a better life. Like the two young fellas I took out last night. I mean, I would have caught more fish without them, probably. Sorry, lads, if you're watching this, but not watching your line all the time and having to bait you up and look after your rod takes time. But I wasn't about catching the fish. I was about you guys catching fish. That's what the whole objective was. So doing that sort of thing in our community for people that don't have that opportunity is a worthy thing to do. And I've got other things about myself that I really like too. But I'm not going to bullshit myself about the negative, and I will deal with it, and I have dealt with it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The most we can hope for in this life is like ordinary unhappiness, because terrible things happen, like really bad things. You could end up in a wheelchair, you could end up losing one of your children, you could lose a limb, you could lose the use of your lungs, you could lose a lot of things you can lose, and you do as you go along. All those things that happen to us, it's really, really important to go, hey, but I've still got this left. Like when the doctor said to me, you know, you've got cancer and this is going to happen, you're going to lose that. When all was said and done and I had all those losses, what I said was, hey, but I've still got some time left now. I'm still here. That's the way to look at it, because eventually, one morning, you're not going to wake up. That's just the reality. There's no point, the doctor says to you, hey, mate, you've only got a couple of years left with this cancer, but those last 2 years are shit. You better make them the best 2 years of your life. Otherwise, you might as well have no years left. I heard an interesting thing the other day. This guy said, if you could wake up in the morning and I could give you $23 million, but you won't wake up tomorrow morning, would you take $23 million? I said, well, of course not, because tomorrow I'll be bloody dead. He said, well, that should be what the value of this day is worth to you then. I thought about that and tried to work it out a bit, and somewhere I found it made some sort of sense. Yes, every day is a gift. Every day is so special. Don't fill it with negativity. Don't fill it with depression. Now, I know you go, hold on a minute, Clay, depression's a disease I have no control over. And that is true. That is why it's totally up to you to take responsibility for that disease. Change your diet. Change your exercise regime. Change your sleep patterns. change everything in your life, because if you keep on doing what you've always done, then you'll keep on having that depression. Now, depression also could be something that's genetically the way you are, but there's always something to change to help that better. Getting that right professional help, talking to your doctor about it, and talking to those, getting involved with groups, getting involved with men that are on the same page as you, finding out that you're not alone in your depression is really important. I'm only using depression as an example. Could be any disease. You've got to be proactive in taking control of it. My friend Dr. Glenn Davies at the Taupo Medical Centre says to me that the people that survive any type of illness, in his experience, are the ones that always have a certain amount of control themselves and say, right, I'm going to deal with this, and I'm going to see what I can do. And that's something that I'm a firm believer in, taking control. Not just expecting a pill to fix it, not just expecting the doctor to fix it, not just expecting your family to step in and fix it, or anybody. There's only one person that can really make things better in your life, and that's going to be you. If you want to get fit, I can't help you. There's only one person that can do it, and that's you. Buy those running shoes and start doing your 1 kilometre in the morning each morning for the first 6 or 7 weeks, or 6 months, and then after 6 months doing 2 kilometres. Running's the thing you want to start off really slow with, because you'll become more fit before your muscles and your tendons and your joints and ligaments can handle it. And a lot of guys over exercise with the running and they end up getting shin splints and problems. That's just an example, but really ultimately it's up to you to get that right. I think this knife is just about sharp enough for me to go fillet this fish, and I'm going to be taking some to my dad, some to my mum, some to my brother Maui. Actually, I gave them a whole lot of fish last time. I think I'll give this fish to someone I haven't given it to. Think about that for a while. Yeah, they got the last lot. Yep, I can think of someone who I won't say who watches this channel. Righto, I'm going to bugger off and carry on with this knife sharpening. And you guys have a fantastic day. Keep on fighting the good battle out there. Searching for solutions to not only your own problems, but those around you that you love. And check on a brother. Go check on a brother. Even if you think the brother's okay, just say, hey man, how you going? How's life? And go around and see him. And if he's a brother that is suffering anything that's in the way of anxiety or depression or anything, then don't call him. Just knock on the door. Hey bro, how you going? Because if he's in a bad space, he'll probably try to keep you away, because that's the time when they don't want visitors. And that's the most important time to go and see somebody. I think this knife is just about ready for a bit of a strop. So after here I'll give it a strop, and then we can cut that fish up. It's pretty good. Let's get that running right there. Nice. There's something very satisfying about sharpening a knife, isn't there? Getting a nice sharp edge. Oh, tonight too on the other channel on my Patreon, if you are a patron, I know a few patrons there, I'm doing a live feed tonight at 7:30 for Clay Tool Stories patrons. So if you want to jump on there, I'll put the link below for Patreon. It's only a couple of bucks a month. It's the price of shouting me a beer. Not that I drink beer anymore, being on a keto diet, but if you want to join that, that'll be tonight at 7:30, and you can ask me anything you bloody like, and I will be honest to a T, to the point it could be painful. Sometimes that's my trouble. Before I finish up, I'll talk about honesty. People talk about, oh, I'm so honest about themselves and that. There's a point where you shouldn't be too honest, because sometimes it can be downright abusive. If you're telling, somebody, shit, you're fat. I have a problem with my filter in my brain, and it's sort of like a form of honesty, but sometimes it's abusive. So it's really important to check yourself on your honesty and not always say it how it is, because that can be hurtful to people. Right, I'm going to stop yakking because I need to finish this job off and cook some food up. It's late. Have a great day and go steady. We'll see you later. Oh, she's sharp. She's getting razor sharp. See ya. Turn this off.